And let us hear our scripture this morning from the Old Testament, 1 Kings, about my favorite prophet, Elijah. I love Elijah because I love the oratorio Elijah. And all the words from the oratorio are in this scripture. They are here. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with a sword. Then Jezebel sent a message to Elijah saying, "So may the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life like the life of one of them by this time tomorrow." Then he was afraid. He got up and fled for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah. He left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a solitary broom tree. He asked that he might die. "Is it enough now, O Lord? Take away my life, for I am no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the broom tree and fell asleep. Suddenly an angel touched him and said to him, "Get up and eat." He looked, and there at his head was a cake baked on the hot stones and a jar of water. He ate and drank and lay down again. The angel of the Lord came a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat, or the journey will be too much for you." He got up and ate and drank. Then he went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the Mount of God. At that place he came to a cave and spent the night there. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the Israelites have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they are seeking my life to take it away." He said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of sheer silence. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Then there came a voice to him that said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for the Lord of the God of hosts, for the Israelites have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they are seeking my life to take away." Then the Lord said to him, "Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. When you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael as king over Aram. And you shall anoint Jehu, the son of Nimshi, as king over Israel. And you shall anoint Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Abel Mahorah, as prophet in your place. Whoever escapes from the sword of Hazael, Jehu shall kill, and whoever escapes from the sword of Jehu, Elisha shall kill. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mountain that has not kissed him." May these words from 1 Kings inspire us to live for love.
Thanks be to God. Okay, y'all, I did something I never ever do. I got up this morning and I do what I usually do. And make any last minute changes. What if it's truly an extraordinary night. These two ideas and All Saints. Let's try again. See how that goes. So what's happening in this scripture? If you had to like distill the story down to Cliff Notes. So Elijah is being hunted by Jezebel, the king's wife, right? Because he is preaching against her religion. He's being hunted again and again and again for doing what God sends him to do. And there's something really deliciously and delightfully down to earth in the midst of all of this really over the top stuff, right? He's depressed. Elijah is depressed beyond all reason. He is tired and he is depressed. So he keeps laying down and needing snacks and needing encouragement to get up and saying, please just make it end. I can't do it anymore, right? Which I feel like is a pretty relatable feeling. I know I have certainly felt like, can I please just sleep until whatever this is over? Especially if I've been working and working and working and feeling like I'm getting nowhere for a very, very long time. So I found myself really appreciating the honesty of the prophet saying, I'm just tired. I'm just really tired. But then there's this other bit where Elijah is looking for God in the great wind, right? There's the great wind, and then after the wind, there's the earthquake and the storm and all of these things. And Elijah's looking because everything has been a storm and an earthquake and a crisis and crisis to crisis to crisis. And so that's where Elijah is looking for God in the crisis. But where does he find God? In the silence. He finds God in the silence after the storm, waiting to meet him there, waiting to meet him there with a spirit of renewal. That also felt pretty right to me. Boy, would I like that. And then this morning when I got up to go over it one more time, I realized that's exactly where we found God this week. First, we found God this week on Wednesday. If you were here on Wednesday for our wellness connections and you laid down in the quiet for our sound healing, a sound bath, you could feel God just wash over you in the peace of that moment. In fact, there was a woman here who had a seeing eye dog with her, and the seeing eye dog kept thumping her. I think Elizabeth's dog's a girl, right? I think. Thumping her tail. And then she would go completely still. And then, that's wonderful. And then she would go completely still. It was, even the dog was moved. It was that beautiful. All Saints Day is all about our legacy, right? Who has gone before us? Who's our cloud of witnesses? Who is calling us into the future, and what should that future be? And for a really long time, somewhere we've gotten confused and we've decided that what our legacy means is that we are supposed to freeze a past moment of glory in amber and hold it perfectly still. I don't know quite when that happened, but it did. And we've done an alarmingly good job of doing exactly that. Freezing a past moment in amber and holding it right there, immobile. But friends, something broke loose. in the last couple of weeks here at New Connections. Something broke loose, and it's been magnificent to watch. On Friday night, almost 800 people came through our sanctuary. We took them on a journey that I was not sure anybody was actually going to get, but it was important that we tell it. But they did get it. People walked in through Halloween, the grave, the darkness, the scariness of death. And they slowly came through to the Day of the Dead, where we celebrate our ancestors and we invite them back for a party. A joyful celebration. And then they landed up here where Sam was awaiting them, an angel with candy. What could be better than an angel with candy? They arrived at the front. And I got to stand mostly right about here and watch people's reaction. Friends, people who had never been in a church before, who in fact did not know that they were in a church now, got up here and said to Sam, "What is this building?" And I watched Sam go like this. I watched people go, "Wow." We watched people come into our church and say, "My church would never do anything, but this is anything like this, but this is really cool." We watched people say, "Church isn't scary if it's like this. I didn't know church could be fun." We watched people come in. I had 4 people say, "I grew up in this church, but I haven't been back since I was little. I forgot what it felt like to be here. I didn't know you guys were doing things like this. My grandfather went here." Well, why don't you go look for him? So from people who had never experienced church before to people who grew up and left, harmed, hurt, or just plain tired, they found new life here on Friday night. They found new connection here on Friday night, and they found connection to the present and the past. We literally embodied what we are called to be on Friday night. We took the legacy of the saints and we didn't hold it, but we released it. We released it to be whatever it must be next. God hears Elijah's exhaustion, his weariness, his disillusionment. And though he asks an awful lot of Elijah, he also promises that one will come next to write the next chapter. Elisha is coming. You are not alone. You don't have to keep doing all of the things. Elijah doesn't get to control what happens next, but he does get to release it with confidence and peace and love. And that's what we did on Friday night. So as we celebrate the cloud of witnesses that has gone before us, as we reckon with the weariness of trying to hold everything the way we've had it, and the exhaustion of not really being able to because we're not supposed to, can we find the wonderful celebration of inviting our ancestors back to this new party we are throwing for them, but also for our children I'm using church as our metaphor, but this is true in so much of our lives, isn't it? We're watching our whole country try to hold to a narrative of itself that doesn't actually work. And we can't understand why we can't hold on, but we're not supposed to. We do it when our kids go off to school. We want them to stay how they were, but they can't because they're not supposed to. It is the gift of all saints to remember our past because it propels us into our future. And I am so thankful to be moving forward with all of you. May it be so.